America is often seen as a land of opportunity, a place where people from around the world come to start new lives and build better futures. But for many first and second generation immigrants, the opportunity comes with a cost. Alongside the hope and promise is a quiet pressure to leave behind the culture, language, and identity in order to fit in a narrow and often exclusive idea of what it means to be American. The pressure to assimilate, whether subtle or not, can have significant negative consequences. Many individuals are forced to walk a tightrope, having to balance the preservation of their cultural heritage with the expectation to conform to dominant American norms. In many cases, this expectation demands the abandonment of one's culture, just for a simple, different culture. It sends a message: be more like us, be less like you. Let's be clear. This isn't just some personal struggle, it's an ethical issue, because when a society encourages or even demands cultural erasure, it silences diversity, disregards other cultures, and betrays the very principle it claims to stand for, ultimately idolizing a singular way of life. It's ironic when you consider that same society was built on the convergence of different cultures. In their study, The Social Adjustment of Vietnamese American Adolescents, Carl Bankston and Min Zhou highlight how second-generation Vietnamese youth struggle. They struggle to maintain a connection between their heritage. As America's norm dominate, these young people often feel torn between two identities. The result? A slow loss of cultural memory, language, and belonging, what some may call generational erasure. The environment these children live in also contributes to the slow disappearance of their identity. They grow up in a society that sends the same message: be more like us, be less like you. And while I myself have experienced a slow loss of culture in the Vietnamese community, it's not just the Vietnamese culture that's affected by the unhealthy pressure of American assimilation. In fact, we see this pressure play out even more starkly in the experiences of Muslim communities after 9/11, and a lot more hostility than the other majority of cultures. After 9/11 attacks, many Muslims faced outright discrimination, violent aggression, and threats against the entire community. These attacks and backlash deeply affected the Muslim community. Because of this, many Muslims forgot their cultural identity and blended in with the overwhelming majority of America. In her work Between Islam and American Dream, Yu Tang Wang explores the specifics of conformity of Muslims. Children stopped speaking their native languages. Parents changed how they dressed. Families began to adopt American customs, and not out of choice, but out of fear. This kind of forced assimilation doesn't create unity, it creates isolation. It sends the message that to be accepted, you must erase who you are. Or in shorter terms, be more like us, be less like you. In The Ethics of Assimilation, Iman Callan reminds us, real unity doesn't come from sameness, it comes from coexistence. He argues that cultural diversity enriches society, that it allows different groups to learn from one another, not suppress each other. When assimilation favors one group over the other, it becomes unjust. It treats some cultures as invisible. And it's not just within American borders. Around the world, American culture dominates. In his article, Globalization versus Americanization, Yoichi Shinemura discusses how countries like Japan adopt American customs. But unlike the US, many of these countries manage to integrate American influences while still holding on to their roots. That balance is possible, but not if one culture is idolized above all others. Sabina Vaughn and Stacey Lee, in their works on Asian American girls, reveal how American consumer culture imposes harmful ideals, beauty standards, lifestyles, even values that conflict with the cultural tradition these girls come from. Again, the message they always receive is, be more like us, be less like you. Some people argue that assimilation reduces conflict, that having one shared culture helps unify people. But that view misses the bigger picture. What it really does is silence difference. It strips away individuality and ignores the emotional and generational harm caused by losing one's cultural identity. If we want to live in a truly multicultural society, we must stop forcing people to assimilate. Instead, we must start celebrating. Celebrating the cultures that make us who we are.